featherweight bout, Julian Erosa and Fernando Padilla. Look at that picture of Fernando. Gotta love
Fade.
+1,
Fade.
+140 on Padilla, -140 for Erosa. Over under 2.5 rounds, +147 for the over, -147 for the under. Julian Erosa coming in here off the knockout loss. Padilla making his UFC debut. You taking the debuter or not?
Never. I can't do it. I've been burned too many times taking the UFC debuter. And especially in this one, because Erosa's, he's just, you don't know what you're going to get with him. He's going to be wild. On the feet, he's going to walk through fire just to give a shot. He gets cracked. And on the ground, I think he should be better than Padilla here. Padilla, he's a good striker, like from what I've seen at least, watching some tape. Like, he's a pretty good striker. He is normally a lot taller than his opponents. You look at him, what's he listed at? Is he listed at
6'1"?
6'1"?
Yeah.
And at this weight class, Julian Erosa is kind of that same build where he's going to, be pretty even with him. But I think Erosa's experience, over a debuter like this is going to be, a pretty wide gap. And normally you get a UFC debuter fighting a guy that's got a couple of fights. But Erosa's had a lot of time in the octagon. And he's good on the ground, too, and I think that's where he's going to shine if he gets the fight there in this one. On the feet, you just never know with a debuter like Padilla, who's looked good on the regional scene. But if Erosa's smart, which sometimes he's not, he gets this thing up to the fence, gets it to the ground, works the ground and pound, looks for submissions, and does his thing. I think Erosa does win the fight. Can't stand betting on UFC debuters, and I probably won't here.
Yeah, I can't blame you. And he hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. His last fight was May of 2021, and he was supposed to get into the UFC in October of 2021, but he had visa issues, so that didn't happen. And now he's coming back in 2023 in April to make his UFC debut. So interesting that, he's still fairly young. He's 26, so last time he fought, he was 24 years old. So maybe he's made a lot of improvements since then, but 6'1", he kind of looked like a little scrawny guy in there. I'm not going to lie when I watched his last fight against Cameron Graves. But he's had some decent competition, at least, on the regional scene. Spike Carlisle was in the UFC, has a win over Derek Minner and a loss to Dan Ige. So, he's not fighting complete scrubs. He is coming in here with a little bit of experience, even for 26 years old. But that 2 years off, being a younger fighter, you usually expect guys to be improving. So maybe a little something to believe in there. But then you look at Julian Erosa, he's got a wealth of experience in the UFC, Cage Warriors. He's been around the sport for a long time, bunch of fights. He's fought some solid opponents before, and he's seen guys like Fernando Padilla before. And he knocked down Sean Woodson, who's another lengthy striker. Or didn't he knocked him out? He submitted him in the third round. I would expect Julian Erosa to get the win here. Honestly, like -140 is not a bad price for Erosa, who's had a lot of experience. You just fear that he's going to get chinned. Like, he's been knocked out 6 times in his career. That's really how he loses. Like, he puts a big pace on you on the feet. He lands 6 significant strikes per minute. He does get hit 6.27 strikes per minute. So he's right around 1 for 1 there. He's got some pretty solid submission skills as well. He's got knockout power, lengthy guy, but it just seems like sometimes he gets caught, and that's the only fear. But at -140, that's not a terrible. It's not a terrible line to take. So I'll take him for the pick, and definitely keep an eye on him as the week goes on.